Welcome back, everyone, to your ACFCS Tip of the Week. This is Brian Monroe, Vice President of Content here at ACFCS. Now, I want to pose a question to the community. What are you doing? What is your team, your AML team, your bank doing to prevent itself from getting entangled and snared in these massive international money laundering scandals that are going on right now? Now, here's why I ask that. The community has been watching with bated breath, a lot of interest. This has been water cooler talk all around the compliance community. What is going on not just with Danske Bank, this $230 billion money laundering scandal involving the Baltic region, the Nordic region, the European Union, but they've asked, is there a U.S. nexus to this money laundering scandal? And that question was answered this week in a fantastic Bloomberg article that looked at where this was happening. This was a Deutsche Bank branch in Florida that apparently had moved some of the $150 billion that was directly tied to Danske Bank. Now, when you look at what was going on at the institution, there were a lot of failures of the compliance program, and failures, you're going to hear key terms that we've talked about before: the culture of compliance, the tone at the top. There's a lot of familiar refrains when you look at AML enforcement actions, and they were absolutely at play here. Compliance officers that were understaffed and overworked. The mindset for looking at alerts generated in the Deutsche Bank system that they could not look at, they didn't have time to do deep investigations. It was basically a machinery mindset to look at these and move them along as soon as possible. Now, when things were highlighted, when they were trying to be escalated to top executives in New York or in Germany, these individuals were overruled. They were basically told to be quiet and let the business flow with a lot of very high-risk foreign nationals that were moving quite a significant amount of money. As well, the thing that jumped out at me most when I read this article is the portrayal of the compliance officer. In a lot of enforcement actions, it says, let these compliance officers have a direct conduit to senior management, to even the board. And in this story, they were described as one step above the janitors. That is, as I said, not a tone at the top and not the way your AML program should be viewed or your AML professionals be valued. Another key piece of this scandal that broke this week as well is Swedbank. This is a huge issue going on right now. About $10 billion supposedly flowed from Danske Bank to Swedbank. Swedbank is Sweden's largest bank. Two things: top officials, usually in the United States when there's an AML action, you rarely see a CEO, a chairman of the board, leave related to an AML action. You might see moving of the deck chairs, a compliance official ends up getting retired, they move them out, someone new comes in. But recently, the CEO and the chairman of the board, the CEO was let go before a contentious investors meeting, and the chairman of the board as well said, I'm not going to be associated with Swedbank anymore. This is basically a distraction for me and my other company. Now let's talk about some of the risks here that you need to think about for all of these scandals, and making sure, as we said, the question was, how do you prevent yourself from being entangled locally to these scandals that are happening internationally? Correspondent banking. This is a hot button issue right now. And your connections now, if you're an institution, you're tied to Deutsche Bank, you're tied to this Florida operation of Deutsche Bank, you're not responsible for actually knowing their customers. KYC is for your customers. But in correspondent banking, you should be well aware of the risk profile of their customers. Where do they bank? Where are these customers coming from? How much money are they moving? Are they PEPs? Are they tied to corrupt oligarchs? Do they work for companies that have been tied to corruption? All these questions you need to answer to be able to effectively know their AML program if it mitigates those risks. And here's an important nuance here. Even if you ask these questions and you got the answers, yes, everything is mitigated, I feel comfortable, did you revisit that original risk assessment of that foreign correspondent in light of these new scandals? These are massive international scandals going on that should cause you to rethink relationships and make sure, maybe not to de-risk, but that you re-risk correspondent banking particularly if it has ties to these regions or these institutions. Things to think about. I want to bring these resources to the community. And my question to you all, what are you doing differently in response to these scandals? Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about ACFCS products, our training, our incredible certification, the broadest and deepest in the industry, please go to acfcs.org. Until next time.